Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Today's going to be about observations on 2,000 almost consecutive mornings with you. So I've been recently reminded, and accurately so, that this podcast, which is now also a daily video, is 2,000 days old. So I thought I'd pause from regular expression of this video podcast to pause and make a couple of observations. So first, let me start with a regret. It stands in Psalm 34, verse 18, that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And it breaks my heart as I think about it that I was not more brokenhearted before the Lord. More brokenheartedness equals more nearness. Nearness to his whispers, his commands, his delight, and perhaps I could have done better in these days. So I feel more broken before him might have meant more nearness to him, right? And then if I could have just communicated being more near, that closeness, that proximity, it would have been or might have been a better podcast, right? So indulge me as I regret not being more effective by being more crushed of spirit before him and his word and more brokenhearted before his whispers. Now, the last time I waxed poetical about this podcast was at the 365-day mark, and he impressed upon me the truths of Lamentation chapter 3, verses 22 through 25. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. So that resulted in my writing and producing a song called Every Morning. I think I might enclose it here today as a renewed and unchanged sentiment. It's beautifully sung by my daughter-in-law, Mikaela Smith, and I wouldn't change a note of it. So I'd like to make an argument for you to listen to this podcast now if you have not been listening or you have previously listened and then stopped. So why should I devote 7 minutes of your day to this? Well, number one, the podcasts are better than ever before. So I wish this podcast was, at the start, was as good as it is now. The podcast now is what I wish it was many years ago. So if you listened, let's say more than a year ago, and weren't that impressed, I might even agree with you. So give it another try where we are today, maybe in the Psalms, or perhaps at the beginning of season 28 in the Gospel of John. Secondly, the podcasts now are all on video, and that's a slightly better communication tool than just podcasting. 3, the lessons are more approachable than ever. God has been very good in helping giving me illustrations to illustrate the truths of his word, and I give him full credit. And as the previous thoughts about regret, I take all the blame if I have failed. Fourthly, if you'd benefit by more regular contact with God, then this just might be the vehicle for you. So the big point is that you would rigorously attach yourself to God. And if this podcast can help, which I think it can, then you might benefit by more rigorously attaching yourself to it, the podcast, once again. So what I'd ask, number one, try again for a week. Now, yes, I realize that this is your time, and this is the true currency of your precious life. The preciousness of your life that is actually the main reason that I boldly ask. So I suppose that there is a confidence in asking that you would move towards more biblical literacy and the changes that exposure to his word brings. And if you are doing something that is more regular and more effective, then I congratulate you. But sadly, for many, there isn't something more regular and more effective. So consider the podcast. Secondly, don't wait for the podcast efforts after I'm dead and in heaven. If they have a value at that hour, then they have a value at this hour. I do not desire your admiration, but I do desire your devotion, not to me, but to him. Thirdly, if you do regularly watch, you can redouble your efforts and subscribe and like and share, maybe do one of those things. All right, let me answer a couple of common questions. How did this podcast start? Well, it was by the accident of COVID and the design of God and the encouragement of 2 of my pastors. I didn't mean to start a podcast. And though being with the Lord each morning has been a regular part of my life for a couple of decades, I didn't plan to have this, the podcast, be a part of my life, nor did I plan on having it being a part of the lives of those who had previously and currently are listening. But here we are, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it. Next question, have the days been consecutive? No, there's 2 or 3 that I remember missing, but generally I didn't like it. And to their great credit, most of my faithful listeners actually complain if I don't do this every day. So it has mostly been in a row. I didn't want it to be some sort of an obsession, so I broke the streak early, so this wouldn't be about some prideful marker of longevity. Next question, what are the plans for the future? Well, just be faithful. I plan on meeting the Lord each morning and for as many mornings as He gives me. I hope I can continue with this project. So at this 2000th day juncture, I am so grateful that you are here. I hope and I pray that you join me on day 2001 tomorrow, if the Lord gives us both another morning. Thanks for being here on day 2000.